Tyler, Leo, Rachel, and Ethan during the gold rush in the Chinese. Imagine finding a piece of gold lying in a river. Imagine picking up that piece of gold. Once someone found out about your discovery, people from all over the world came to look for more gold. Imagine working all day digging up dirt and rocks just to find little pieces of gold. Imagine having to fight over land just so you can dig for that gold. Imagine sleeping in tents for 4 years. That's what happened back in 1848. This is the gold rush.
Back in the year 1848, James Marshall was building a sawmill near the American River when he saw something shiny in the water. He went to pick it up and realized it was gold. Word of Marshall's discovery quickly spread around the United States and eventually made it to other countries. The gold rush had begun. People from all over the world rushed to California, including people from Mexico, Europe, South America, Australia, and China.
Most of the miners that came were men looking to get rich. They were called the 49ers because they rushed into California in 1849. The land they mined were called claims. Miners staked out where their land was, but fights broke out over boundaries. Surprisingly, many miners did not get rich due to the fact of how many miners had come to California.
Life in the mining camps was not easy. Everything in the camp was more expensive due to the growing population. A dozen eggs cost $6 a barrel, and a barrel of flour cost $400. $6 back then is worth $155 today. $400 back then is now worth $10,000. Camps were also very crowded. A camp started with a row of canvas tents, but a few months later would have up to 2,000 men. Streets were lined with drinking saloons and gambling tables. There were also no police. Without police keeping order, the camps were rough places and had lots of fights.
During the gold rush, 1 out of every 10 Californios were Chinese. They were welcomed in the camps and treated just like any other person, but when mining became more difficult, most people turned on the foreigners, including the Chinese. Eventually, a law was passed stating that any foreigner who wanted to mine had to pay a monthly fee. Most foreigners could not afford the fee and had to leave. The Chinese, however, stayed. This did not make many Americans happy.
When the miners' tax failed to drive away the Chinese, Americans tried to force them into leaving. Whites cut off queues, which were braids worn by Chinese men. Property belonging to Chinese was burnt, and beatings normally followed the act of destroying property. Some Chinese left to open restaurants, laundries, and stores in California's growing cities. So many Chinese settled in San Francisco that local newspapers called the city Chinatown. Other Chinese started farms in California's fertile Central Valley. In time, the Chinese would help create America's fruit basket and salad bowl.
In 1852, the gold rush was over. That's only 4 years from when it started. 250,000 people had come to California to look for gold within those 4 years. For American Indians, those 4 years were dreadful. Disease and warfare spread, causing the Indians to lose a total of 120,000 people. That brought them down their population to only about 30,000 people. In addition, many Californios lost their land to the newcomers. But that was not the only thing that happened. By 1850, California had enough people to become the first state in the far west.
If we hadn't gained California's land through manifest destiny, the gold rush would have not happened, and James Marshall would not have been able to find the first gold nugget, and no one would have come to look for gold. For the Americans, though, this would have been good. But for the United States, gaining California was one of the best things to ever happen.